Hi, and welcome to Something for the Weekend, brought to you as always by Together 2012. This is a pre-recorded show and the last show that we're putting out on a Friday because as of next week, Thursday, the 16th of September, we're going to go over to a midday show on a Thursday, which also means that the auto captions will have processed by the time we release the show on Friday morning. So do join us next week from midday on a Thursday. Usual place, YouTube, look for Together 2012 CIC, or just pop along to our website www.together2012.org.uk and go to the Together 2012 TV page. I'm Ju Gosling, also known as Ju90. I'm an artist and artistic director of Together 2012. With me in my East London studio, where we've been locked in since last March and have lost all count of how many months, let alone how many days, is our chair, the artist and activist, Julie Newman. So we're going to come back to East London in a minute for some audio description, some proper introductions, and to tell you what we're dressing up to go out to stay in to do. Because, of course, the Paralympics are over. So the last 3 weeks, we've been very much addressing with a games theme. So we're mixing it up a bit this week. But first, to the other end of our long virtual wheeled sofa in the West Midlands for some introductions, audio description, and what are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do today?
Well, hi everybody. So I'm Robin Surgener. I'm business director at Together 2012 and also an artist known as Angry Fish. And I sing some songs and write some poetry. Today, what do I look like? Well, I have slightly wound my hair back into my head. So it's looking shorter than last week. It is grey and white mostly. I am wearing dark rimmed glasses in front of blue eyes. And in terms of my clothing today, I'll start at the bottom. I'm wearing brown trousers because you can see those this week. That's my mouse. And on my top half, I am wearing I describe it as a bottle green t-shirt. My arms are the wrong way. Very big, baggy bottle green t-shirt because it is in fact an NFL, or for those of you not sure what that is, that's the National Football League. Basically, it's an American football shirt. So it is a bottle green, and then it has yellow and white stripes around it. I am wearing this for my dressed up to go out to stay in, as this weekend sees the beginning of the NFL season. And this is a Green Bay Packers shirt, and I will be following them, and I'll talk more about that in the week ahead.
Brilliant. Do you think you could turn your microphone down just a fraction? Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Surgener, and I'm here with Robin in our studio in Sutton Coldfield. Behind us we've got our red velvet curtains, which give us that nice cosy look. And today I am dressed up to go out to stay in. I have got my hair is down in front of my face. I've got my sunglasses on the top and a hairband. So when I want my hair out the way, I'll push it out the way. I'm wearing a green t-shirt with a very large yellow daisy printed on the front. Some grey yoga trousers. In front of me, I have got a glass of green liquid and a really good book that I want to get into that's been recommended by a friend. And for this weekend, not this weekend, I am dressed up to go out to stay in because I'm going to start off a health kick, hence my green gooey drink, which is supposed to be full of vitamins. I'm not detoxing because that's not necessarily healthy. It's just full of vitamins and things that my body needs. So I want to start off a bit of a health kick. And I'm going to sit back with my sunglasses on in the garden and try and get through my very large book.
That sounds great. And of course, yeah, I think September is a time when a lot of us make resolutions to be healthier or fitter or improve our well-being. And I think for disabled people this autumn, the choice has never been better because so much is available online. I've just signed up for a Tai Chi class. It's the first time I've been able to access a Tai Chi class in almost 20 years. Inevitably, of course, the Zoom didn't work. I had a very apologetic text from the head of the Tai Chi school, and he said, I've done hundreds of these already. And I said, yes, we've done hundreds of streams, but they still go wrong at least kind of 5% of the time we quite understand. So, yeah, with the slight caveat, it may not always work. Check out what's available on Zoom because it is just incredible what the choice is, and an awful lot of it, still you can find things for free. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to a bit of a health kick too. But I'm not dressed up to go out to stay in to do Tai Chi. Instead, I have, what do we call it? I have a grey paper pork pie hat on my head. I've got green eyes behind black plastic glasses. I've got pale olive skin, black plastic wrist braces, silver coloured jewellery. And my t-shirt is a Manga Studio t-shirt. It's a black t-shirt with grey and white and red print on it. And I'm dressed up to go out to stay in to go to the Hackney online zine fair. It's a wonderful thing. It started on the 4th of September. It's running all the way through the month. And everything is digital this year. They've put some in-person, I think, exhibitions in Hackney so that if you live in Hackney, there are some things you can access. But the vast majority of the Comic and Zine Fair is online. And I'm going to tell you about one of those activities that I'm intending to go to later in the show when we look at the week ahead and recommend things that are available online and offline, mostly free for you to do from home. So that leaves Julie. Julie, who are you? What do you look like? And what are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do this week?
Hi, excuse me.
That's what happens when the cat's been sitting on your lap.
It's so true. My name's Julie Newman. I'm the chair of Together 2012. Today I'm wearing a baseball cap and a black T-shirt with a very accusing looking tabby in a space helmet. If you look at the eyes, they're very accusing. I've got I never know how to describe my hair. It's getting longer. It's aubanish, sort of gold and silvery, and I've got dark rim glasses, and I've got a silver jewel on. But no, I'm checking out a la Tom Hanks with the baseball cap, and a la David Bowie in Life on Mars with the T-shirt. I'm checking out what's going on for Mars at the moment with NASA. They've just been drilling through holes in rocks, and they're sending the little Intrepid helicopter up for the 12th time, which is amazing. And I'm just going to check it out. But there's a reference in my highlights for the week, which I'll pick up later on.
Great. And all of these recommendations with the appropriate links and any other information you need will be on our highlights and links page. You can find that either clicking through from the Together 2012 TV page on our website, or go to the Together 2012 TV pull down menu and just go to highlights and links. So we'll be coming back to that in the second half of the show. But yes, it's great, isn't it? Now we can even go to space without leaving the safety of our own homes. Yes, there might be places that are a bit closer that in an ideal world I would rather go to, but we can't imagine the pandemic away and wish it away, even if the politicians want us to. So let's move on and have a look at some of the poetry that's been written from home this week. So tell us a bit more about the Pop-Up Poetry Club, Julie.
The Pop-Up The Pop-Up Poetry Club happens on a Wednesday morning. Program leader Alison Marchant, international artist, will call the individuals who want to participate and we will pay for the calls. We have a conference call set up, sorted out. So at 10:30, we should all be starting all together. The first half of the session until 11 o'clock is reading through poems according to the topic that Alison has selected for that week. And also perhaps reading our own poetry if we haven't had access to books or the internet. The second half of the morning, we all end the call at 11 o'clock. Alison calls us back in the same sort of format, so that we're ready to start at 11:30. And then the idea is that for those of us who can sometimes write poems in 20 minutes, we read those poems out, or those of us who've started beforehand and finishing them off do that. But the idea is that we read our own original work in the second half if possible.
This is just my neurodiversity, but I'm going to come back here and say I think you've actually got a poetry group in thirds over an hour and a half. So the first third you share poems, the second third you write on your own, and the third you share again. Would that be more accurate? No, let's not even get down into whether that's under 20% or 25%. But yes, it's a lovely hour and a half of which you spend the middle bit writing your own poetry. It's as close as we can make it to our previous in-person pop-up poetry club, but you have to provide your own hot drinks and biscuits. So this week's theme was butterflies, and just to get us in the mood, I'm going to show you a butterfly that visited my house last week. So this apparently, according to the Great British Butterfly Watch app, which you can still download, is a white butterfly, even though in fact it's mostly green. So it's got these kind of green speckled veins on its bottom half. It's got a sort of, I don't know, the top tip is sort of green and then it's got a black spot on it. But I was just really, really pleased to see this, because despite having a lot of butterfly attracting shrubs in the yard, I don't see many butterflies. But these butterflies apparently are expanding across the UK. So probably this is indeed, in more than 30 years, the first time I've had these butterfly visitors. So I'm just going to take that off again. Who wants to start with a poem about butterflies?
I'm quite happy to go first. A little short one to get us going. So this is a butterfly from Glory Sengo. When I saw the butterfly outside, it flew away, and I said, "Bye, butterfly." Then I sat down in the garden, in the sun, and it was sitting on the tree. Then it flew away again.
Thanks, Glory. I love that. And it's actually very typical of the butterfly, isn't it? As soon as you go and get your camera, it's gone, and then it comes back by the time you put your phone back down again, and so on and so forth. Julie, what have you got for us?
I've got a poem by Alison Marchant called Butterfly Meadow. Running through a wildflower meadow where the butterflies flutter, in the dusty frame of a yellowed Super 8 film, green-veined white, orange tip, brimstone, small blue, tortoiseshell, skipper, peacock, red admiral.
Green-veined white. That was the name of the butterfly
There you
that
go.
we just saw. There we go. Tracy, what have you got for us?
I've got one by Crystal Peasy, again entitled Butterfly. I like butterflies very much, and I decorate my flat with butterflies. When you come into my flat, you'll notice butterflies everywhere. I also paint butterflies. I like the colours of butterflies. Butterflies are so beautiful. I have plenty of time to enjoy the butterflies. There are so many different colours, and even my clothes have butterflies on them, especially my t-shirts.
Oh, thank you for that, Crystal. I do miss seeing your colourful outfits in terms of in-person activities, but it's always great to see your work over Zoom and the telephone. It sounds like there's more butterflies in Tower Hamlets than there are in Newham, which surprised me, to be perfectly honest. And this is from Cheryl McClellan, Butterflies, and I think Cheryl's over in West London, so a bit different again. The back of winter scuttles across the sky. There's a subtle change in light, smell, and sound. It's still cold enough to wear a chestnut-coloured scarf, and we can sit with coffee in hand, listening to the melancholic sound of a brass band. A yearning for something intangible stirs within us. We then see the butterfly, flitting, flapping, and flirting inside nature's colourful palette, and sense that spring has finally arrived. That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed, Cheryl. So, do you have another one for us, Robin?
I do. This is Butterflies by Dwayne Bryan. When I see butterflies, they flap their wings and they hover in the sky. I believe they start as caterpillars and they form as flying insects. They symbolize flying beauty and they represent happiness. You can hold them in your hands and feel lovely and grand. You can have them as pets, but please treat them with respect. They flap their wings in the spring, and love and joy is what they bring.
Thank you, Dwayne. And it's such a reminder, isn't it, that the best things in life are entirely free. You've just got to look out hard for them. What have you got for us next, Tracy?
I've got one by Ellen Goody called Wings. Butterfly, spread your wings and fly away. Wings are beautiful with lots of colour. Folding wings, folding, folding. Wings, butterfly colours. Butterfly wings are beautiful. Butterfly, butterfly, butterfly. Spread your wings and fly away. Wings are beautiful.
Thank you, Ellen. And I love the repetition in that. And I think finally, Julie, we've got your poem.
Yes, thank you, Ju. This is just quite simply called Butterflies. Excuse me. The garden, sorry, I'm so sorry. The garden is planted with thought for the birds, the insect and bees. There's plenty of shade for the drought to keep them cool in the breeze. It blows through the yard from the road, over the pond, a shelter for the toad. The passing foxes pause to drink, stopping and staying a while. They curl up, tails tucked in, barely a blink. The birds are singing, the insects file up to drink the nectar or gather pollen and sit on the leaves that have fallen. When all of a sudden the fairies arrive, fluttering wings and darting around. They fly in and out, zoom and dive, never stopping or touching the ground. The colours are varied, mixed simply and bright, flashing reds, browns, yellows, blues and white. The fairies tell stories of worlds far away, a world full of angels, a world full of cheer, where suns shine gently and winds play so easily, boosting the fairies' flight far and near, to give a glimpse of hope for a world much duller, made bright by fairies with their flashes of colour.
Thank you, Julie. I love the idea of butterflies as fairies, or rather fairies as butterflies, which might be a little bit more accurate. So we're going to move on now and look at some visual art. The Together 2012 Art Club has a still life session every Friday on Zoom from 11 to 12. And what happens is that Alison, as our club's program leader, creates an image. She shares it on Zoom, but she can also text it, WhatsApp it, or email it to you. And she audio describes it at the beginning. So if you've got a small device or you don't see so clearly, you know, it is still possible to engage with the image. And then people simply draw or paint with whatever they've got at home and share their images at the end. And it's quite a mindful session. So it's very, you know, you won't be asked intrusive questions or feel you've got to gossip. It is very much about doing the work. And as always, we challenge Robin to do the audio description of the image. So I'm going to pop that up now.
Well, so this week we have a pair of shoes in the foreground and a handbag in the background. Now the handbag is one that is, it's quite a soft looking bag made with, it looks like a very dark brown kind of crushed velvety material, but then with greys and green laces kind of decorating all over it with a lovely silvery grey rose, I would imagine, in the middle, and then propped up against that is a pair of low stiletto slingback sandals, I think you described them as, with quite pointed toes. They're in a very dark brown. Then there's a narrow ankle strap at the back, and then at the front, where the top of the foot is, there's a lace bow in the same color, a laced bow, I should say, in the same color. And then almost like as if it's the sun, there's a sort of little hole in the front, and then ridges spreading out like rays from the middle of the foot piece.
Wonderful. Thank you, Robin. I've never worn shoes like that in my life, so I wouldn't have a clue how to start describing it. So the first image that we've got up is by Crystal PZ, and Crystal's painted that, and I think she's made a very, very good attempt at it. So she's got the bag in green with blue and brown in the detail, and then she's got the shoes in brown. So this next one is by Margaret Spence, and Margaret, I think, has used charcoal on this, and she's got the shapes and all the different shapes in the bag and the shapes of the shoe really beautifully. So well done, Margaret. And then finally, this is in felt tip, and this is by Sophia. And Sophia's used brown felt tip for the shoes, and then yellow, black, and brown felt tip for the bag. And it's actually really a really interesting way of doing it, because you can still tell exactly what it is. And again, if you don't have the right colours, or you just fancy changing the colors, that's absolutely fine. So with our still life session, you can find the image if you want to join in from home on our highlights and links page. And now I'm going to look back at Tuesday, when the art club runs a make and natter session. And the make and natter session is really the most sociable of our Zoom clubs, although we still really natter about the work and natter about ourselves as creative people rather than anything else. So again, if you'd like to join, don't worry that it's going to be somewhere where you feel quite exposed. You won't be asked to do anything other than say what you like about arts and crafts. So Alison leads an activity with recycled materials, or you can do what you're doing at home anyway and show those hobbies off. So first of all, I'm going to look at Crystal Peasy, who is pom-pomming. And this is one of Crystal's pom-poms, and it's mostly green, but it's also got blues and it's got yellows, and it really illustrates the way you can just mix and match wool and make different kinds of shapes with it. So because this isn't even a circular pom-pom, it's not quite sure how I would describe it, but really quite interesting. And this is a whole sculpture of Crystal's pom-poms hanging from the ceiling. So the ceiling is well, I think it's up against a wall that's sort of pinky purple. And then Crystal has all sorts of pom-poms, all sorts of different colours, plain pom-poms, mixed colour pom-poms like the one we just saw. And it's very, very effective. So yeah, that's just great, Crystal. I'd love to see more of that. And then this is Duncan Bridgestock. Duncan is making collages with recycled card. And on this one, he's taken a black piece of card. He's stuck a white piece of card, which is slightly smaller on it and it's really interesting because it's at an angle as well. So it's sort of framed, but it's an offset frame. And then he's used more black card to make L shapes, circles, half circles. One piece almost looks like somebody's smoking a pipe. It's just a really, really interesting abstract piece. And then finally, Alison has just started doing papier-mâché with anybody who wants to do it. And this is Sophia. And what Sophia's doing is covering a bowl with papier-mâché. I think what they've done is they've used cling film over the bowl, and then they're pasting the shapes over it. And what they're doing is using traditional flour and water paste. So you make your own glue, you use the recycled materials, you know, things like junk mail, old magazines, old newspapers. So we'll see how that's coming on in the next few weeks. So if you'd like to join the art club, drop us a line, info@together2012.org.uk, or follow the links on the website. Have a look at the 2021 programme link, or indeed follow the links from the highlights and links page, where we'll be popping all of those pictures up, including the original image with the shoes and bags if you want to join in from home. But now we're going to move on and do an activity from home with Tracy. So Tracy, tell us, what are we going to be seeing this week?
Well, I thought I'd have a go at making 3D letters. So again, I just had a look around the house, see what I could find, and I've used a cereal box, some scissors, glue, ruler pencil, and a little bit of decoration, and an empty toilet roll tube. Literally, I've cut the box out, the cereal box. I've cut the two big panels, the tops, and all the little bits that you get from the bottom and the sides. I've just cut lots out. Then what I've done is I've used the ruler and pencil to create my letter. And for me, it's a T for Tracy, which is probably the easiest letter you could do. And I've drawn it on the picture side of the cereal box, so that when I stick it together, you'll see the grey side of the cereal box. Here I've got, these are the extra bits of the extra strips that I've got. So basically I've used a ruler, and I've used the width of the ruler and then bent up the panels to make like a 3-sided shape. And then what I did with those 3-sided shapes is I put them together. I think you can see that from the picture. So it makes a bit of a tube. It's a rectangular tube with straight edges. So what I did is then I stuck those rectangular tubes to the one side of the T, and then used the second T to fit on the top to give the 3D effect. So there we've got my completed T, and I just grabbed a few things to decorate with, and then the options are endless for what you could do. You could paint it because you've got a nice grey background. You could decorate straight onto that. You could use wool to wrap around, and you could use some recycled unwanted papers. But for this one, I decided to use some paper I'd already got in the house. So I'm using a dark purple with some other purples to decorate. Now this is the tricky bit, but if you like doing your Christmas wrapping, shouldn't say that word before December, but it's like wrapping a present. Simply wrap. I wrapped from the side, and then I wrapped across at the top, and I did it all over one sheet without having to cut lots of little pieces. Then I used some of the darker purple that I'd got to make a small bow. The instructions for making this are also on our site. Very easy. You simply need 3 long pieces of paper, glue on together to make the bow shape, fold for your ribbons, your long ribbons, and then a smaller one just to create that finished bow look. And there it is. I'm at my last few steps. I put my bow on the middle, and I've got a bit of a purple. It's butterflies, and it's simply sticky back. So you just place it and pull the tape from underneath. I find it really easy to use, and it gives a really nice finished decorative edge. And there we are. That is my completed T. It will probably take me a few months to get the whole name if I'm going to go for Tracy, but I might just do TS. So I might do an S just for next week.
It's so clever. A friend of mine a few years ago bought the cardboard letters because you can get them sort of big for birthdays and things, and decorated them and did me a Ju 90. But this is just so much greener. and also just gives you so much more possibilities because you can choose what size you make it. So yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to try redoing it because I'm not quite sure how I would do J, but I think it's a great idea. And I have to say, as the recipient of a present, I absolutely love my Ju90 letters. They're up on the wall in my office, and yeah, so they do make a very acceptable present. So there's lots of art and craft on our website. You can find under our join in from home menu all of Tracy's previous craft activities. You can also see join in with Sterre films, and we'll have another film from Sterre next week. But now we're into the second half of our show, and just because Tokyo is over, the Clockwork Paralympics continue. This week, we have some Winter Paralympians getting ready for February because, of course, we're used to there not being a Games apart from every other year. But because it was 5 years for Tokyo 2020, which confusingly took place in 2021, we've got the Beijing Winter Games coming up in February. So we're back in the bathroom still. That seemed to work rather well. And we have 2 clockwork snowmen. As always, Robin is going to do the commentary.
Well, here we are. Yes, we are in the bathroom on the super smooth running surface. We're going to choose the snowman on the right-hand side of the screen. If you will give yourselves 5 seconds to choose which side you're supporting. Right for Birmingham, left for London. Oh, and we are getting off to a tremendous start here. They are going at, well, actually faster than I've ever seen a snowman walk before, it's got to be said, apart from flying ones. So it's going well, but who's gonna run out of legs first? That's very confusing. Well, London, for the 3rd week in a row, have absolutely caned the Commonwealth team. So congratulations to London.
Julie, will you do the honours? Of course, we never introduced, and that's entirely my fault, we never introduced our teddy bears because the Paralympians can't be hanging around wearing medals. They need an official medal wearer. So we take advantage of the fact we're supporting the International Virtual Bear Hunt, where you stick a teddy bear in your stream so that children can hunt for them. So I know it's not going to be happening this time, but introduce your bear anyway, Robin.
Well, some of you have heard of Teddy Ruxpin. I think what's his name. This is Teddy Rucksack. He is a small golden bear made into has sewn onto the back shoulder straps to make it into a bag, and has got a little zip in it so you can keep your occasional bear snacks in there.
Or indeed the medals. So we have Tammy Bear. Tanny's become a sort of almost permanent fixture on our bear hunt because she was a birthday present back in May, and she's very, very sporty. She's a nice soft honey-coloured bear with a red headband, a blue sporty top, and red and white little trainer things. And she has her own medal for weeks when we lose, but at the moment she's now also got a gold plastic medal from London 2012, which was given out by the Mayor of Newham to the volunteers at the time. And it has to be said, unlike the Surgeoners, it's the only medal in the house, but we do have a lot more teddy bears. It's just that Tanny really likes to be on the show. So we're going to move on and look at our recommendations for the week ahead. These tend to be things that are either on the TV, online, or you can just do at home, having switched off from all of that. And I'm going to go over to the Midlands first. What's your first recommendation? You can argue amongst yourselves who starts.
I'm going to go first. As I said earlier, it is the beginning of the NHL season this weekend. So, you know, being sports addicts in this house, or at least some of us anyway, you know, it can never be too far from some sport. NFL actually have its own website. I mean, unsurprisingly, it's a huge business in America. So there are many ways to actually go from finding the scores and highlights of games which you can get for free. We'll put up some information about how to get that. There is of course, a subscription service, which if you pay enough, you could watch every single NFL game that happens in a season. We're not going to be doing that. We will be checking results and looking at highlights and, see who's, likely to progress through to the Super Bowl, which will happen traditionally at the end of January or thereabouts.
I mean, I have a limited interest in sport and prefer it to be done by women or disabled people. But nonetheless, what I was surprised to discover as somebody who's only really on Amazon Prime because it's the cheapest way to get things delivered is you can watch the US Open live on Prime. So if anybody is as fascinated and excited as I am that Emma Raducanu has got through to the US Open semi-finals, you can watch that and Djokovic entirely free if you're already an Amazon Prime subscriber. So yeah, I had absolutely no idea there was any kind of live sport, and certainly wouldn't dream of subscribing to Eurosport or BT Sport or Sky Sports or any of those paid for channels. But if you do, in order to save money on deliveries, have Prime, check it out because I think it's going to be a great match. That wasn't actually an official recommendation, so I'm going to carry on. Sorry, Julie. I've discovered these workshops called Speak the Word, and they're online poetry and spoken word writing workshops. And they're particularly nice for people who are at home because they're 6 to 7:30 every other Saturday. So it's the first and third Saturdays of the month. I think if there's 5 Saturdays, there's still only 2 sessions. But they were set up following a really successful project. And they're led by a poet called PJ Samuels. And what they say is PJ Samuels opens the sessions with a well-being check-in and a free write, and poet Nudie brings poems, artworks, and prompts for inspiration. It's fully inclusive of all abilities, it's LGBTQI plus friendly, and it's got auto captions. So if you particularly, for example, if you're part of the Pop-Up Poetry Club, or you're just venturing into performance or back into performance after a break, this looks like a really, really lovely group, and it's ongoing. And you don't have to make a weekly commitment, but it's not something that you can only do once a month because, like I say, it's the first and third Saturdays. And once you've finished at 7:30, sit down and watch something else we've recommended. Tracy, what would you recommend?
Right, well, actually, my first recommendation fits in really well with our theme for our butterflies for this week. It's a online event which is on Saturday, the 11th. It says it's on between 5 and 8, so I don't think it's going to be a 3-hour. I think you can just pop in and out when you want to. But it is an online workshop, and it's about encouraging birds, butterflies, and other sort of pollinating plants into your garden to encourage the birds and the butterflies, which, as we know, most of our wildlife is becoming quite rare. We definitely need our bees. So I'm going to have a look at that, and I'm going to, because it's an online workshop, I'm going to be talking to them and finding out what we could do for those of us that don't have big gardens. What if we've got a windowsill? Is there something we can do to encourage butterflies and bees and little birds? So I'll be feeding back about that next week, see what we can come up with. But I'd really recommend it.
Yeah, I was quite shocked to discover that the bees that are being bred in hives on roofs across London are actually doing damage because they're taking away resources from other pollinators. And there's all sorts of pollinators. There's lots and lots of different wild bees. There's all sorts of moths that pollinate, There's even bats that pollinate, although not so much in London, but bats are sort of huge pollinators everywhere else. And if you have honeybees and there's too many honeybees, they're taking away the ability of these other pollinators to survive and spread. So, yeah, to be honest, you could probably, as we'll discover, have, one plant on your windowsill and it could still be very, very helpful. Julie, what do you recommend?
Well, following the botanical theme, I found at Kew Gardens, they've got a YouTube channel, and amongst their shows is a lovely tour of the Marion North gallery actually in Kew Gardens. Marion North was a Victorian explorer, botanist, artist, and she painted some absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful plants from all over the world. She was very much of that era. She was from quite a well-heeled family. So, but the pictures themselves are absolutely lovely.
Thank you, Julie. Robin, what's your next one?
This one looks, well, having gone through some nice warm days and they're going to disappear soon, you could finish your warm break with an online trip to Greece in what's entitled Greece Alive. It is an Eventbrite listed presentation. Basically, it's a 2-hour live tour of around Greece, starting at the Acropolis, but it takes in, you know, the breaking plates, because that's obviously what everybody in Greece does. And then you set sail for the fabled islands of Crete and Santorini, which it just looks fascinating. And it, again, you know, for those of us who haven't been abroad for a long time, and it's going to be a long time before we, you know, venture further than, you know, the front door. It's just nice, you know, and you can, you know, perhaps open the windows and listen to some wildlife if you've got any where you are.
Yeah, open a tub of hummus, get some pita bread, stretch out, have some olives. I'm actually getting quite into that myself, but then on the other hand, it's quite grey outside, but it's still 26 degrees in here, so I might well, you know, I've got the heat. I'd just like to have the visuals as well. So I said at the beginning I was dressed up to go out to stay in, to go to Hackney Comic and Zine Fair, which is running till the 30th of the month. And the next thing I'm going to recommend is one of their events next Tuesday from 7:30 to 9. It's free, and I think actually an awful lot of this is free, and it's called Abstraction in Comics. Now, I used to do quite a lot in comics, but at that point nobody was doing abstract comics, and now they are. So there's 4 artists who make abstract comics: Gareth A. Hopkins, Peony Gent, Olivia Sullivan, and Miranda Smart, and they're discussing their work and why they're choosing to choose such an unusual form of storytelling. And yeah, I just think it's really, really interesting. The link with the booking link for Eventbrite is on our website, again on the highlights and links page. Tracy, do you want to recommend something else?
Yes, I do. This is a TV show that I want to recommend, BBC show, and it is on iPlayer. It's called Visual, and it's about a submarine, a nuclear submarine. And I don't want to give too much away, but it's like a bit of a detective drama. I've watched a couple so far. It's on weekly. It's on a Sunday evening at, I think it's 9 o'clock. Yeah, really good twists to this show. So I'd really recommend that if you got time to catch it, then it's worth watching.
Yeah, and I can thoroughly second that. I found it absolutely gripping. It's not often that I like the BBC serials, and most of them I don't I don't watch at all. But I tend to find that anything you recommend, that either I'm enjoying it already or I go and look it up. I'm enjoying it. So yeah, you're definitely our number one TV tips woman. Julie, what would you recommend next?
Well, this weekend is the end of the London Open City week. And if you go to the Open City website, there's a map with all the sites that are open. But it's funded. It's basically, we have volunteers who go to the different architectural places of interest and then show people around. They act as guides. It's been down at Trinity Buoy Wharf before now, and when I could, I did events for it at the Wheelhouse, which is my studio. But it's well worth looking online, because aside from anything, they've got some of the previous years' tours up, and it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, as disabled people, it's really opened up these so-called open house weekends because, you know, if you're a disabled Londoner and you're looking for blue badge parking, that already knocks you out of an awful lot of the open house stuff. And then if you need a support worker at a weekend to go, not so good either. So I'm actually finding, like so many things, it's actually opening up a little bit more, even though I'm more confined than ever. I want to recommend that we virtually go to Scotland for my next recommendation next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Again, it's free and it's online. And it's an event called Orkney Photographica. It's an illustrated talk by a photographer called Rebecca Marr. And what she looks at is, if you like, the kind of tension between photography, which is seen as something really scientific, you can only photograph what's in front of the camera, and photography, which is something that is completely selected by the photographer. So the question she's asking is, did they, do photographers see what they want to see? So she's looking at 4 photographers from the very famous Magnum agency, and they've all photographed Orkney. Eve Arnold, Faye Godwin, Martin Parr, and Elliot Erwitt. But all of their subjects are different, and all of their styles are different. So I think for anybody who's interested in photography at all, you know, whether that's what you do with your phone or whether you've got other cameras, it's a question for all of us, isn't it? You know, are we showing what's there, or are we showing what we want to see and what we want to show people? So yeah, I've really found, I think, 3 great online events this week. Who else has got further recommendations? Julie, as you're our chair and you're sitting next to me.
Thank you. Just to follow up my dressing up to go out, on Wednesday at 6 o'clock, the Royal Society is doing an on-screen discussion about, has there ever been life on Mars? Which I just think is fascinating, especially given sort of like in the last century, all of the science fiction that was written about Mars, it really captured people's imagination. And of course, there's always David Bowie. But it's free, it's online. You don't have to sign in or sign up for it. We've got the link in the highlights and links page, but I really do recommend it because there's an awful lot going on. There's a lot of discussion about potentially living on Mars in the future.
And again, the thought of trying to get in a car, battle across London for an hour and a half to get to the Royal Society, go in through the back entrance, the lift's not working, etc., etc. It's really not such a strain to sit at home and be able to enjoy it in comfort where it's really accessible. So do we have any final recommendations from the West Midlands?
Yeah, my last thing for something to do the week ahead is Spotify. I mean, we have Together has a number of Spotify playlists, as we know, and they're always worth listening to. But the great thing about Spotify is that you can find music for your mood, any mood you're in. You know, and we talk a lot about mindfulness and taking space for ourselves. And actually, Spotify is a great way for doing that. You know, whether you need to do that super loud in great big speakers, or actually through headphones, which often are much more effective in creating that kind of personal listening. I think you should do it. Yeah, just check out Spotify, check out our links, of course. But just, you know, use it as another way of finding, you know, that little bit of relaxation.
Funny you should say that, because that's just what I started doing in the last couple of weeks. And if you're going to, it's very easy to create your playlists. If you create a playlist, whether it's for mindfulness, disability rights, whatever you think, you know, we'd love to see it and share it. I think the only thing that I found difficult is, I remember Robin saying to you a few months ago, can you recommend some songs that are easy to sing? Because we have a monthly Zoom together open mic night on the first Thursday of every month. And you said, yes, there are these 3 Spotify lists. And when I went through them, I didn't recognize most of the songs. I do think the kind of first thing about being easy to sing is that people recognize it. And the ones that I did, oh my goodness. So the playlists are only as good as the people programming them. And one person's idea of an easy, familiar song is absolutely not another's. And in fact, I never did manage to find a list of easy songs to sing through Spotify. I think, that needs to have a karaoke app, which I will have to investigate in the future. But yeah, I would definitely say putting some random music on is so much easier than being quite late at night and thinking, oh, what do I want to download, or what CD do I want to pull out, or do I even want to set my vinyl up? Of course you don't do it. But if you can just find the playlist that you'd already identified and stick it on, then absolutely, I think it's really relaxing. So I think that's all we've got time for in terms of the recommendations. We've had a quiet couple of months. People have been shifting over, but thank goodness an awful lot of people have accepted the reality, which is not going to be possible to do in-person stuff over the winter. So as I was saying, with the Zoom classes, there's more choice than ever before. If you really want to get engaged with something from home, it might be art, in which case, again, please do look at our clubs program. It might be sport, it might be well-being, it might be a hobby. Check it out. There's no need to leave home to have a really great choice. So it's goodbye from us. Next week, as I say, we'll be recording live from midday till 1 o'clock on a Thursday. So grab a cup of tea or an early lunch, sit down, join us, and don't forget you can use the live chat to communicate with us in real time. Tell us what you think of the show. Have your say. We'd love to be reading out your comments. And finally, in the spot that we describe as "and finally," we have a Zoom play by Eve Smith. And it's called Cuppa. Eve has been doing her Gold Arts Award with us as a trainee, and this is part of her Gold Arts Award. Eve is now leaving us to go to Kingston University to study acting. So, as we said last week, we're very proud of Eve. Congratulations. Good luck. You were 21 yesterday, and this is your launch into that sort of strange, because of course people are adults at 18, but this sort of strange kind of here we are now, truly adult. So without further ado, I'm going to put on Eve Smith's Cuppa and look forward to seeing everybody next Thursday, the 16th of September at midday. Look us up on YouTube, Together 2012 CIC, or just pop along to our website, www.together2012.org.uk, and go to the Together 2012 TV menu. So goodbye from everybody else. And here is Cuppa.
Welcome to our show called Cuppa by Eve Smith. I hope you enjoy it. The actors are Eve, Lily and Hazel. I keep cruising, can't stop, won't stop moving. It's like I got this music in my mind, saying it's gonna be alright. Hey!
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. What have you been up to?
Not much.
Would you like to meet up then? Yes, sure. Yes, let's. It'll be fun.
Where shall we meet?
I don't know. I shall have a think.
We could meet in Costa in town.
Yes, sure, let's. But I had better wait for my delivery.
What do you reckon, Claire?
Yes, please. When and where?
In the Costa in town at 3 p.m.
I will come if my delivery is here. Okay, I will be there. Ring me if your delivery has not arrived. What have you ordered from Amazon? I've ordered some makeup. Anything special? Some Marion. Cool.
Hiya.
Hello.
Hello. It's great to meet up with you.
Same. It's a lovely day, don't you think? Do you remember Natasha?
Yes, I do.
She's moved house now and got a boyfriend called John.
Oh, wow. How fantastic. Won't last long, though.
I know John. He is strange.
I know, right?
I wonder what they are doing now.
Me too.
I wonder how long the relationship will last, though. Who'd have thought they'd still be together during lockdown? They are still in hassocks together. In a basement bedsit. Did they break the rules getting together then?
I miss shopping. I can't wait until COVID is over and we can start shopping again.
Me too. I hate waiting for Amazon.
Me too.
I wonder what I could buy. Lots of things.
Yes, I think so. What shall we do?
I don't know. I shall have a think.
Let's get some hot chocolate. What would you like to drink?
Okay, I fancy some coffee or a hot chocolate. Hot chocolate.
Me too. I will have the same.
What's the matter, Jazzy?
I don't think I have enough money.
Oh, well, you can borrow some of mine.
Thank you very much.
2 hot chocolates, please. Could you get your own, Claire? I am almost broke. I'm not used to going out.
Yeah, sure. It is fantastic being out.
Shall we find a table outside?
It was great meeting up with you guys yesterday.
Yes, it was.
Shall I do it again some other time?
Yes, I think so. Thanks for the drink.
You're welcome, but I will need the money back. Nice to see you, though.
Nice to see you too. Let's do this again sometime.
Yeah, sure.
I agree. And we've done when I
Again, its name. The people from bad times do again and again. It's big and it's planned, full of tension and fear. They're doing it over there, but they don't do it here. Fashion, turn to the left, fashion, turn to the right. Fashion, don't do it here. Hiya.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. That looks like a pretty dress.
I know.
Me too. It looks lovely. I like it in pink.
I like it in purple.
Wow, that is fantastic.
What else should we look at?
How about the tops?
I like the yellow top with stripes.
Me too.
And me, however, I prefer it in green.
Green is a lovely colour for a top.
They're going to pay for their shopping. Second lockdown starts.